Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and the start of something new. In this video, I'm showing you how to make this beautiful flower pot design from cardstock. This is the very first in a brand new series of themed flower pot designs, which I'll be releasing throughout the whole of this year. Every time we've got a holiday or an occasion coming up, I'm going to be working on a new flower pot design. This is going to work in a very similar way to all of my layered trucks that I've been releasing over the last few years. I finally reached the end of the trucks, so I needed something new. I asked in an email newsletter before Christmas what kind of designs you would like to see made for all the different holidays throughout the year, and the most popular suggestion was flowers. I thought I'd kick things off with a general flower pot design which would be suitable for lots of things, for example birthdays, Mother's Days, or even just because or a best wishes shadow box or card. All the flower pot designs throughout the year will be released for free, and they'll all be designed to be fairly simple in the shapes that are used, which means they're perfect for cutting out small to go on greetings cards. One of the questions I get asked the most is, what do you do with the layered designs once you've made them? Because there's only so many shadow boxes and frames you can make. Well, if you're a card maker, these themed flower pots are going to be absolutely perfect for adding onto the front of cards. You'll be able to cut them really small. This one is a 5x7 inch card, but you could definitely go smaller than that. So whether you're making larger shadow boxes, or smaller greetings cards, or anything in between, I hope you'll love these themed flower pots, starting with this one. So I guess I'd better tell you where you can go to download the free SVG. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs, or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder, and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then go to Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer, or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder, and then the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag that in, and then it should look like this with all the pieces one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see all the pieces next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So if that's the case, press cancel down here on the bottom right, try again, and make sure you choose the one that starts SVG. Press continue, and then on the next screen, press upload. That will insert the design onto your canvas. It loads in at a nice size to cut, which is 6 inches tall and just under 4 inches wide, but you can resize it if you want to. To resize, make sure the padlock above the width and height boxes is closed. If yours is open, you can click on it to close it. Then you can change either the width or the height and press enter on your keyboard, and the other measurement will change too to keep everything in proportion. If you're going to be making this to fit in a certain size shadow box or on a greetings card, I have a new video coming out at the end of February on how to do that, but in the meantime I do have an older tutorial on how to size designs ready to go in a frame, which I'll leave in the description of this video. When you're happy with how everything is looking on the screen, press make over on the top right. This will separate out all the colours for you. You can change the paper size in the drop down on the left, and then if you want to, you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. When you're happy with how everything is looking on the screen, press continue to connect to your Cricut, get everything cut out from cardstock, and then we'll see how to stick it all together. Here are all of the layers of my flower pot all cut out and ready to stick together. I've laid all the pieces one on top of the other, following the assembly guide that's included in your download folder, just to check that I'm happy with how all the colours work together and that I haven't missed any of the little pieces along the way. I'll be sticking it together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is called Barely Art Glue, but I also like Halal, and the reason I like these two glues are that they don't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like some glues can do. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot and Dab, but any will do. These ones are quite small, which is going to be helpful for getting them into some of these smaller flowers, but if yours are big, you can cut them smaller with a pair of scissors. As with all my layered designs, we need to start at the bottom and then work upwards. So I'm going to move all of the top pieces away whilst trying to be a little bit careful at keeping them in their position, seeing as I've already gone to all of the hard work here. I'm now left with the very bottom two pieces, which are these two green layers. For the lighter green layer, I'm going to stick this to the bottom using foam squares. So let's turn it upside down and then add my foam to the back. Try and get your foam squares into all of the sticky out pieces, such as the petals around the edge of the flowers and also the leaves in here and the edges of the flower pot. That means you'll get a really nice stick across the whole thing and you won't have any delicate areas that might end up tearing, particularly if you're putting this on the front of a greetings card where it might get kind of touched and moved about and pulled in and out of envelopes and things like that. So we want to minimise the amount of little bits of cardstock that might end up getting caught or trapped. And then also put some foam squares in the middle of larger pieces too, to make sure it'll be nice and level. That's all my foam squares on, so now I can peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Now let's stick this onto the very bottom bit. I'm going to line it up carefully using the flowers at the top and the bit along the bottom, and just gently drop it down when I think I'm happy with how that's all positioned. It's a little fiddly because these stems are thin, so they'll try and wiggle about as we're going, and it might be easier to turn it round lengthways. I didn't do a very good job there. You know what, I'm going to change tactic, I think. Start at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to line it up and then gently drop down and check all these flowers to see if any of those need to be moved. So this one I can see isn't lined up very well. There we go. And the reason for just gently dropping it down is that if you did need to move stuff about, you can see you can pick it up quite easily because it hasn't actually stuck yet. But when you're happy that it is all lined up nicely, push down to get those foam squares really well stuck. And now at this point it's up to you if you want to build up the flowers next or if you want to do the pot along the bottom. As they now all build up separately, it doesn't matter which order you do it in. I think I'll do the flowers first, starting with the white ones. Now, we would need to make sure that we add the foam squares on the right side of these. So I'm just going to line them up to make sure I'm doing it right. So put them on there, then pick one up, turn it upside down, and then add your foam squares to the back. I'm probably adding a few too many than are technically necessary, but I'd rather have a few too many and know that all of those petals will be really nicely stuck than not have enough and risk it getting damaged. Use the shapes of the petals, which are all different, to see which way round it needs to go to make sure it lines up with the green. And then exactly the same for the other white flower. Alright, so get your petals the right way around and stick it down. For the middles of the flowers, I'm going to cheat a little bit and put my foam square directly in the middle of those petal layers, rather than try and get it on the back of the tiny little circles. It's just a little easier to get those stuck on. There. Alright, I'm going to do the same for those two. So some foam squares straight onto the green. Let's go that way around. And this is the bottom layer of each of those smaller flowers. If you're using the original colours from the design, that'll be the darker pieces for each of them. There. And then the top ones, if you add your foam near the bottom, then you'll know it'll all be covered up. Or of course you can put it on the back of the smaller pieces. I just find this a little bit easier. If you were doing this to go on a greetings card rather than in a shadow box, you might want to glue some of these rather than use foam squares for all of it, or it might end up a little bit too thick to post. But there we go, that's the flowers done. You can see the depth in there. And now let's move on to the pot at the bottom. Start with the big piece, which will be foam squared on. Again, try and get your foam into those sticky out little flower bits and the very edges of the top rim of the pot. Ooh, I didn't line that up very well. Let's do it again. That's better. Next up is the lighter one, and this is our first glue layer, even though we're almost at the end. Next up is the rim from the flower pot. This one is also foam squares. Foam squares again for the flowers. And this will be the solid layers, so if you're using the original colours, that's the yellow. The big one on the left, and the two that are connected go on the right. There. And then finally glue the other layers on top. Again, I'm going to put my glue directly on here. Just make sure you don't add any right in the middle of the flowers, because that's the bit that's going to end up being seen from those pieces. So you see they've got the hole in the middle, which is going to be what shows that yellow through. Last piece. Ooh, just moved that. Problems of being left-handed. Should have stuck that one on first. And there we have it, a flower pot design all finished. Here's a little closer look. It's a very simple design, it's easy to cut with lots of simple shapes in it, but it looks so pretty when it's all stuck together. This is now ready for me to frame in my shadow box, which I'll go and do shortly, and then I'll show you the finished effect. And I've also cut a slightly smaller version to put on the front of a greetings card to show you how that looks too. I'll be releasing extra tutorials on how to do that towards the end of February to coincide with the launch of my new website, which I am so excited about. It's been in development for over a year, and it's got loads of fun new features to make your crafting even more enjoyable and a little bit easier too. More information on that will be released over the next few weeks, but for now, you've got this as a new design to be trying out for 2025. And as I said at the beginning, I'm using this as my new seasonal designs. So every holiday that comes out throughout the year, there'll be a new flower pot design with a slightly different look to it, but all following the base theme so that you can create mix and match designs for all of your holidays. But now let's take a little look at my finished shadow box and greetings card. Here's what the version of my flower pot looks like, which has been framed in a shadow box. I followed one of my other tutorials, which I'll link in the description of this video, to create the backing layers around it. I'm working on a new version of this tutorial in the latest version of Cricut Design Space, which will be out towards the end of February. And I'm going to be making matching versions of how to frame your designs using the Silhouette Studio software and also the Canvas software. So if you have a Silhouette machine or a scan and cut, you'll have full tutorials coming out very soon. And here is my greetings card with the smaller version of the design. They would make a lovely set, so you could make it small to go on a card and also a larger version and give this as a gift and card matching set. You could even cut this about this big, sort of half the size, and make a matching gift tag as well. The next themed flower pot design will be out in just a few days' time, and that one is going to be Valentine's Day themed. After that, the next few will be a Easter design, a St. Patrick's design, and a Mother's Day design. We've also got Mardi Gras coming up soon too. But as I said, these will be coming out throughout the whole year. If there's a particular theme or occasion you want to make sure I don't forget, drop it in the comments. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!